Hello everyone, and welcome to my developer commentary series. This will be a series of videos where I comment on my own games. I will try to go into details about production, what kind of ideas I had, basically like a making of. Now, this might only be interesting to fellow TGC engine users, people who use Game Guru or FPS Creator, but I will try to make it entertaining for everyone, so welcome along for the ride. Now, first of all, I had to lower the resolution for the games for it to run. In case you don't know this, FPS Creator is a really unstable engine and there are memory issues with it, so it is what it is. I can't really change it, but that's why the resolution on some things, like this door for example, is really low. It's fine by me, so I guess we kind of have a even more retro aesthetic than usually. We start off in the sewers. There was a level before this, but it doesn't hold up very well. It's an outdoor level in FPS Creator. And there's a lot of narration in it and not a lot of gameplay, so by the way, having 2 minutes of constantly talking into narration in your indie game is not the best idea. Simply because most players would like to jump in, try the game, and it's better to have the narration build up over time than to just info dump right at the beginning. I will try to do that better in my next project, of course. So yeah, as you can see, there are dynamic effects here, like this water dripping down, this custom water effect. This uses the Metro Theater water shaders, but more on that later. Here we have Aaron the Ice Desert Eagle, which I gave a wooden grip. While this plays in the future, I try to make the weapons look functional and chunky. Have some old-time weapons just to really hammer home the desolate state humanity is in this timeline, and just give it a very rough, brutish aesthetic in general. Now this is a sewer level. These are not necessarily very liked. There's a lot of video content about how ridiculous it is that every FPS game has a sewer level, but I actually kind of like them. I like making them. And because they are such a meme in first-person shooter design, every one of my game has at least one. So there we go. These are health packs which are spread around. Yeah, I added a lot of optional PDAs and notes, but I ended up making them way too long and I'm pretty sure that no one ever read them, so it's good to add context and lore, but it's important to make things short enough that the player is interested in reading them. If there's just a block of text showing up on your screen, nobody's going to read that. As you can see, I tried the machinery and everything to be really worn and old. There are insects crawling around on the floor. It's our first enemy. This is the only game of mine that uses the ragdoll effects that are in FPS Creator. And they're not perfect, but they're actually really fun, so I recommend using them. Little moth here dancing around the light. Oh, I always put holes like these in the walls of my worn-out structures, so if I spawn enemies in later, there's at least some kind of explanation where they would come from, like they could crawl through this darkness here that I can't enter. Just so the enemies don't spawn out of nowhere, because that's really jarring for the player. There are little pop-ups for the weapon, just to give everything a little bit more flavor. These enemies are called Seekers. The cybernetically modified humans that the aliens indoctrinated fight for them. There's one. These are not entirely custom, those are Bond 1 meshes, but they are custom enemies in this game too. The aliens themselves will show up later in the game, but I tried to have some more. I've tried to build up to those encounters in the game. I'm pretty happy with the sounds for the shotgun. I don't know if it comes across in the video because I have to lower the game audio for the so that you can hear my voice over, but I put a lot of effort into the soundscape for this sewer to make it atmospheric and believable. Also, the enemies are moving about, trying to catch you. I made that with waypoints because you might not know this, but FPS creator AI is not really AI. Like, you can't code that the enemies have nav mesh or see the environment, so they simply follow instructions. And in most games, they just spam fire at the player and strafe around, but I try to make them move through the level to simulate that they have an AI. I also really like the old blood effects that spawn when you shoot enemies in FPS Creator. Just a feature that's really lacking in more modern TGC engines. This is a trashed break room. When I'm designing an environment, I always try to make like a level, but also a place. Like, it seems like people have lived here, like this has been used at some point, and not just random corridors with random sci-fi stuff in them, because that gets boring pretty quickly. There are a lot of early 2000 shooters where it's really just space station, hallway, room, hallway. So I try to make it seem a little bit more lived in. Like, you can see bottles that kind of fit the worn-out drink machine that is standing here. Signs of life, like a magazine, some posters. This, whatever you call them, I forgot. This thing on the wall where you can put notes. Noteboard? I guess so. And you gotta have the gore in your sci-fi horror shooter, of course. These notes I added because people are so used to see blood and corpses in their shooter games that I tried to give them a little bit of believability and kind of remind them that that's supposed to be a dead guy that you find. Because I heard I was talking with other friends about this, about playing horror games, and a lot of them mentioned that they don't even see the blood and the corpses anymore in some of those games because they're just so ubiquitous and so over the top that I tried to kind of add a little bit of these notes to make the atmosphere more grim in a way, if that makes sense.
Hello? You are one of our troops. Let's talk for a second.
The professor is narrated by Duchenkyuk. Thanks for the guest performance, buddy. Again, way too much text. The conversation script also has a bug where one of the lines is completely skipped. But yeah, I tried to have something else in the game than just shooting enemies, but oh well, mixed results. Now these water effects here are what I mentioned earlier, the Metro Theater shader effects by Bond 1. And when these came out, effects like this have not existed in FPS Creator and they blow everyone's mind. It's heavily inspired by Bioshock, which of course was also revolutionary when it came out. And I think they still look good. I think that's a really cool effect just to have in this kind of retro throwback FPS game. I also have a slight shader effect on the wall textures, like you might be able to see to make them look more wet. I think it works out well. I'm also just really fond of how derelict everything ended up looking. Now if you use FPS Creator you don't have shader effects, you don't have well, you can have normal mapping, you can even have PBR mapping, but it's really a pain to make it. Like you have to go through every prop and really handcraft. It's just not easy to do, believe me. It's very time intensive, so none of these environments use any shader effects. It's all painted by the lighting, that's really all there is to it. Diffuse textures and lighting. This one is modded to also look like a Seeker. And to kind of show how gruesome the aliens are, what they do to human beings. And you can shoot off the head. That's a bug, by the way, but I'm kind of glad it's in. That was it for the sewer level. Now we are entering the proper facility where we also find the actual aliens. Little attempt at a jump scare here. Also this. Just little things that have not been in Game Guru for years of its existence, which is really unfortunate. Because FPS Creator came out in 2005 and had these effects already. Pretty much also because Half-Life 2 was really in at the time, so there were a lot of little physics things like that. As you can see, weapon just dropped down the staircase. Now I'm really happy with this rig. It's the ancient stock sci-fi gun rigged to Aaron AI's animations. I think that works really well. It really fits the aesthetic of the game and I'm just had a lot of fun with it. These are the aliens and they shout out taunts. You can't pick up their weapons because they're DNA encoded, and also that's a way where I can control how much ammo and what kind of weapons the player has, not overload him with weapons. I don't think it's a good idea to have like a short 1-hour FPS game that has just 15 weapons in it. Other designers have other opinions on this, but that's just... I like to balance it a bit more. And also, as you can see, the environment and the machines that you see are getting more modern than the stuff that was down in the sewers, of course. But to record the enemy lines, I was looking around the internet to find something fitting, and I simply didn't find anything, and not enough variety, and I didn't want to rip anything off an existing game. So I just so I was home, and I sat down behind the microphone and just started edited it a little. And that's now the aliens' voices. It's a bit childish, sure, but making video games is supposed to be fun, and that was fun to do. Another example of them of me having them try to navigate the level. Some of them fire projectiles. Just because I wanted to get rid of every enemy being a hit scanner. But I went a bit overboard in some places. Yeah, I think this game has the best enemy encounter AI in any of my FPS creator games. Unfortunately, it's also the least played of any of my FPS creator games. Simply because it's difficult to get running. This is the lobby, but as you can see, it has seen better days. I modified most of the stock props to reflect the game's universe. I find it calming to edit textures. It's a good thing to do while you're watching a show at the evening. Here's a little holographic effect. We're in the future, baby. That's where we need to go, right? This is the mess hall, and I try to make it look kind of disgusting and uninviting. Ragnar Culture Part 1. As you can see, I went way overboard with the lore in this. The character is supposed to be a clone soldier, so he's commenting on the food that civilians eat.
Intelligence suggests that the spectral filtration is currently offline. You need to turn it back on before you proceed to the laboratories. It's located in the generator room within this complex. Try to gain access to the maintenance section. It's a maze down there, and Ragnar will not expect you to take that.
I also do the main narration for the game, so I hope it translates what part I am narrating now and what part is in the game, but I think so. Given that there's difference in volume. Just a heads up, of course. Now we're in the office. The dead scientist. Why are there two keycards here? Because back when I made Euthanasia, I had a key actually in a level. And for some players it just disappeared when they launched the game. And for others it was there. So now I always add two keys, just to make sure player can continue in the game. Gotcha. I always generally use a kind of retro 70s, 60s look in my advertising and general aesthetic of the games. I did not copy that from Fallout. It's just easier to circumvent copyright stuff, and it's stuff that modern players simply don't know, and I think it looks well. Generally speaking, I have kind of a fallen Soviet Union sci-fi look to my stuff, which I think is interesting visually. Same with the very bulky machinery. That is just not how stuff will look in the future. I know that, but it works fine for those games. I think so, at least. And that was it for this level. It's a bit minimalistic, but it works. Now we're in the server rooms and maintenance area. Made sure that there's a lot of machinery and cables. Also this kind of curved architecture. FPS Creator has a very boxy segment system where you draw your levels, kind of like old school retro level editors. And any kind of curved architecture like this back in 2009, 2008 was really... You would get a lot of messages of people asking how you did that, but it's just entities, of course, that are textures the same as the wall segments. Now he's stuck in the model here. Weapon rack. From all my games, this title has my favorite atmosphere. And I hope that translates to other players as well. Let me know in the comments what you think. It's just unfortunate that we have to play it in half resolution. Some of the segments here are by the Cosmic Prophet. He was a very prolific and extremely kind member of the community for many years. He was also around for Game Guru Classic. Unfortunately, he passed away in a car accident, so it's kind of a bitter note to this. But shout out, because he did a lot for the community, he made so many models, and it's just a tragedy. In fact, a lot of my media, like this pipe, it's all based on his work, so... I hope it's not insensitive to bring this up in a first-person shooter video. I just figured I'd say it. Now, my house is really low, so that's not good.
This area is used to maintain and control the spectral node. You are approaching the filtration unit. Expect resistance up ahead.
Here we have a little puzzle. And that was the puzzle. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Hey, anything to break up monotony and add a little variety to everything, right? I think that for an FPS creator title, this holds up very well visually, personally. Naturally, if you're used to more modern games and other engines, this will You will not agree with this statement, but most of you know what FPS creator games normally look like, so you know what I mean. This area is designed to be very tough, so I better not die in my own game. I think that one is still alive. Woo! Almost dead. Let's see. There you are. Made it. On my last drop of health too. I haven't seen these environments in quite a while, and I think it's an open secret that I'm really inspired by older science fiction films like Alien. And I think you can tell by the level design here. I just miss when movies looked like movies. Kind of feel like the age of the cinema is over a bit.
27. We need to inform you that our attempts to organize a rescue mission for you and the civilians so far have been futile. We will keep you updated.
Messages like this and also the level design, I try to have the game like a mounting sense of dread. Like the further you go into the complex, the tougher it gets, the more isolated you are. Not sure how well I succeeded at that, but there was an attempt. Kind of a Heart of Darkness thing that you keep going further down. I mean, it's a bit much to bring up Heart of Darkness for your silly FPSC game, but that was the general idea. They tried to do the same thing in Spec Ops: The Line with Dubai, where you constantly go down. The game gets increasingly harrowing. Oh, damn. It's been a while since I played this and I thought that was the end of the level. It's not. There's an entire assault waiting for me. But yes, this is the actual server room. Shout out to Bugsy for making this ceiling light. Do a quick save, because I don't think I'm going to make it. But it's good, it means the game is challenging enough. It was a good death. Kind of a tangent, but I feel that a lot of modern releases are simply not challenging enough. They try to engage a wide variety of players with different skill sets. Mainstream releases, I mean, of course. That kind of makes games boring if every encounter you just blaze through. I mean, I remember the old times of like the PlayStation 1, where you were really clutching your controller to get past that very difficult stage. I think Dark Souls kind of brought back the idea of real challenge in large release video games. But yeah, I think it's important that video games are difficult and that fail states are real, that you don't just start back where you just were. Just to make it exciting, to make it more like adrenaline pumping. Starfield is a good modern example. Like every combat encounter in Starfield you can basically sleepwalk through. I mean, there are mods just to make the game more difficult without having bullet sponges everywhere. That's not good. No! No! This is jank. Oh, and the door is locked. Right, be right back. And we're back. Oh shit. We're not back. Alright, concentration now. I really have to cheese this to make it. Shit. We're actually back because I completely forgot that the game has an autosave feature. Let's see if I missed some else pickup. Probably not. Alrighty then. We need concentration for the next encounter. I'm gonna cut this out. I did forget that there was an autosave feature, and it saved right before this encounter, so we're going in with full concentration. And I'm going to cheese this a little. Oh, fuck. So I thought, with the lean function, that the AI cannot react to. Damn you, hitbox. Alright, 2 down. 3 or 4 more to go. I don't remember. It's too quiet in here. So yes, my games do require the use of cover. Seen a lot of people try to play them and they just kind of walk into the room. That's never a good idea. Let's see if I can... Fuck, there he is. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of this shotgun. I think I got him. There's bound to be one more. I just know it. No? Ah. Woo! And that was the server room.